Hey everyone, this is your Hairapy session with Emily. I'm your host, Emily Mazur, aka Portland Hairstylist. So guys, it is 9:30 at night. I work today. Alex is actually still working in his office right now with tax season going on. And the kiddos are asleep in the room next to me. And I felt so inspired from the conversation that I had earlier before I had to head to work that I wanted to get this interview done, and I wanted to get the intro and ending done so I could send it out so that I could share it with all of you. Because I felt so inspired by these two incredible hairstylists. And I just wanted to ride the energy. I came back, I'm in my office, and I'm ready to finish this episode. There are two major things as to why I love doing hair. One is the creativity of it. Formulating colors, working with different hair textures, lengths, and checking out different tools. Like, I really want to get into straight razor cutting, and so I'm really excited to learn more about that. The other thing that I absolutely love about doing hair is building trust and a connection with the person in front of me, the client sitting in my chair, and that feels good. The other thing that I find to be so important for our industry, and I actually feel for any type of company or business that you have that has to deal with people, the other thing that's very important to me is having trust and a connection with the stylist that I work with. I like to work with individuals who are creative, passionate, and of course driven, but are also flat out kind and open. And, sometimes a little quirky, which I absolutely love. I really love working with just fucking cool stylists. It doesn't matter how long they've been in the field, but they believe in community, building each other up, being vulnerable, being okay to not know everything and make mistakes, being open to change, and always learning, always evolving. Those are my people. I first met Jimmy in September of 2020. I was feeling really frumpy, which I'm sure a lot of people were during that time. And I really wanted to change with my hair. I had just dyed it yellow. I think it was the first time I did yellow. And my hair had grown out, so wearing a mask all the time, a client bending down, it would get all up in my face. So one of the first things that I said to Jimmy when I sat in his chair is, I don't want to feel like a suburban soccer mom, and I would like a shag mullet. And he just started laughing. It was a beautiful haircut. I loved it. It looked great. But what I really took away from that, being a client, is not just having a great haircut, but having a really awesome conversation. And I could tell he was somebody that I wanted to know. And when he told me that him and Carrie were looking at opening up their own salon during COVID, I was very intrigued to interview both of them. Here is the interview with Jimmy Hillman and Carrie Blasco, Tuesday, April 27th of 2021. And by the way, guys, in the interview, we couldn't figure out if we were wearing masks or not when I was a client, because I feel like so much stuff has happened between then. But yeah, it was September of 2020 last year. All right, guys, this is your Hairapy session with Emily. And I am here with Jimmy Hillman and Carrie Blasco. And So we did a first interview, and then I think I didn't have enough storage, and I'm like, fuck. And then we did another one, and then I don't know what happened. I think we were deciding to wait so that it's closer to your guys' opening. But the other thing too is I was like, oh my God. I said Hillsman, and you were so sweet. You didn't even correct me. And I was thinking, like, what a fucking asshole.
What if you have
Not you. I mean me. I am interviewing you, and it's like, are you kidding me? I don't even know my guest's name.
For all I know, you had like a speech impediment, and then I would have been the asshole, and then
Yeah.
So I am so glad we're redoing this interview, because I'm just like,
Awesome.
okay.
But out of all the people you could fuck up on, we're probably the best, you know?
Well, yeah, you guys are so sweet. I was like, I don't think they're passive aggressive. Like, I think they're actually very nice people. Like, he was just being polite.
I love it. That's
Oh my
amazing.
God. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So I am so glad that I finally get to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Now, when I first met you, Jimmy, I think that was in the summer, right? Or
Yeah.
no. We weren't even wearing masks.
No, we weren't wearing masks. Yeah, I don't think.
I don't even remember when I got my haircut with you.
That's the thing. Like I remember you made the appointment. I was at the previous salon that I was at now. I honestly can't remember.
And
I mean, time anymore. So
I think this was even before I wanted to really start getting into the podcast.
I think so too. I don't think we had masks on yet.
No. So guys, I was working at 77 Salon at the time. And one thing that I really like to do is make hair appointments with other stylists so that I can check out their space, get to know the stylist, and also kind of see how you work. And I really loved your work, specifically with shag cuts.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when I came in, I told you I wanted a mullet shag.
Yeah, because you're like, I feel like a suburban mom, and I'm too cool. Yeah. And like, I looked at you, and I looked at your color, and then like, I looked at your outfit, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna help you. Like, it's gonna be okay. It's like, you're too cool. Like, you're dressed too cool, and your hair's too cool. Because you were also still that like marigold color. I think you had some like copper in there, and but anyways, yeah.
But I think the thing is what attracted me to you is the fact that how we had a conversation in the chair, because the way that you talk with your clients is so much like how I do.
Thank you.
It's like you listen to your client, you hear their story, and then you have something to add to it, something similar that maybe happened to your life or a situation, and then you always go back to the client.
Thank you. Yeah,
Oh, and I was gonna say, and that's not forced. That's genuine.
Yeah, it's exhausting being this happy all the time. No.
I can see, yeah. I mean, I know everybody has their off times, and you're not super happy 24/7, but yeah, no, I feel like it's an art to have a good conversation.
I think it's really nerve-wracking to go into specifically within my industry. I mean, because I've also had these feelings before, but it is nerve-wracking to go to somebody new for your hair when, I've had clients that are either moving in and they've been with their stylist for like 10, 20 years or whatever it is. So yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking. So I think what I try and do is find some type of like common ground without taking the conversation away from them. It's like, oh yeah, like same, but like keep telling me your story. So that way they feel comfortable and I'm still able to produce quality work.
Yeah.
So by the end of it, it's like, oh, we're done. And then it's like, oh my God, my hair, I forgot we were here for that reason. So I've had that. It's just, you kind of get lost in the conversation, but in the best possible way. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And when you were talking about like your hair journey and then about opening a space with Carrie, that's what really sparked my interest. Well, first of all, I just wanted to interview anyways, and then it was a bonus, the fact of getting to meet Carrie.
Yeah.
Carrie, you're so sweet, and I do want to get my hair cut with you, which I want to wait until you guys are in your new space, which I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
And then getting to know you, and then hearing your guys' story about opening up the salon, which I think is so cool, and the fact that you still planned it during COVID.
Oh God, yeah.
I know. It's I mean, that says a lot, you know?
Thank
I think it
you.
says a
Thank you.
lot.
Thank you.
So
Yeah. And most people thought we were crazy, which we knew we were. But when you're
Oh
stuck
yeah.
at home and have nothing to do, you just have all these ideas. And
Right.
me are the type of people like we're gonna make it happen,
I think that's great. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so first, before we get into the whole concept of your salon, which is called Concrete Treehouse, right?
Concrete Treehouse Salon. Yep.
Love it. I love it. Now, Carrie, which one was that fringe first?
Jimmy.
Jimmy
Jimmy.
Yeah.
was. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
Jimmy, can you go back to the story? Because originally you're from California and you got into
Hmm.
hair because your mom was a hairstylist and did kitchen hair.
Totally. Kitchen hair don't care. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
my
love
mom,
it.
my my mom was a single mom for a very long time. So my mom actually was in beauty school around the time that she actually ended up getting pregnant with me. My mom was 22. She was very young. 21 she got pregnant. 22 she had me. So that being said, she did actually get to go through beauty school and she finished, but she never had the opportunity to actually take like the written and go work in a salon and all
Mhm.
this stuff because she had me. And so she already had a stable source of income and she didn't want to ruin that or risk, I mean, even nowadays it's hard to find a salon where you get an apprenticeship and get
Oh,
paid.
totally.
And
Yep.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
her single mom, 22, 23 with me, she was like, well, I'll just bring my girlfriends in. So I've had my hands in hair since diapers. Like it's just fun for me.
Is
Uh,
she still doing hair?
no, no, unfortunately, she's not. She kind of trailed off on it. Like, she'll still do like family and friends, or like maybe like my brothers or sisters' friends for their events, but nothing like professional anymore. But she does remember like terminology. So when I
Oh,
go
that's
home,
cool.
whenever that is, we'll talk about like double N series this and high lift that,
Mhm.
and all my because I'm the oldest of six, so including myself. So all my siblings are like, "What the hell are they talking about?" But it's
Mm,
like it's our own kind of special
that's
little
a
language. But
bonding. Now, how
yeah, yeah.
about you? Yeah, now how about you, Carrie? Because Carrie, I was trying to look back at my notes. Are you originally from Kansas?
Yes, originally from
Okay.
Kansas City, born and raised, and I went to beauty school there too. And then I moved to Portland because my sister's here, and I've been here for almost 7 years.
Is your sister still doing makeup?
Yes, she is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she actually does a lot of wedding gigs with Jimmy and Tara
Mhm.
and kind of her whole wedding thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a brand new thing being able to work with her this year. I haven't been able to work with her quite yet. And same deal, we have a couple weddings on the books this year. But her portfolio is like, I'm sorry, your sister's portfolio is phenomenal. Like,
What is her
it's not,
Instagram?
I don't
it
know.
is Beauty Adored.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, my sister, she lived in LA, she lived in Chicago. She did a lot of like editorial work, she did a lot of celebrity work. She doesn't talk about it because I feel like sometimes when you talk about stuff like that, people think you're bragging. So it's like this
Mm,
weird like this is what I've done, but like it's always like ever so lightly, like when she's
mhm.
getting new gigs and but yeah, it's fun doing gigs together being sisters because I can just
Mm.
tell by the look on her face, like whatever she needs, it's just that like energy of like, oh my
Aw,
gosh, she needs a Q-tip, or oh my God, she needs coffee, or I don't know. It's
that's
fun.
so sweet.
Yeah,
So, and then you went to Paul Mitchell School in Kansas, is that right?
I did. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and then so mostly what attracted you to Portland, was that your sister?
Yeah, my sister moved up here from LA. And I just visited and it didn't take much convincing.
Mhm.
I always knew I wanted to move. It was kind of like wherever she was at, I wanted to be. Like I
That's
wanted to live
cool.
in LA when she lived in LA. And then Portland was kind of the first place I came to and it felt like home.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, yeah.
Was the hairstyles pretty different from Kansas to Portland, like seeing the different hairstyles on the streets?
For sure. Like I would describe my clientele in Kansas City as like rich soccer moms, like a lot
Mhm.
of highlights, a lot of like blondes, definitely not as many like fashion colors. I think too at
Mhm.
the time, like the hair industry's changed so much in the past 10 years. Like we
Yeah.
have rose gold, we have mint, we have all these fun colors. So I think back then we just didn't really have the technology or like those sort of things weren't popular. So
Mhm.
that was really fun, like moving here, especially in an artistic city and being able to like explore that.
Yeah, and then for you, Jimmy, now you went to ABC Vidal Sassoon School, is that right?
Uh, no, I went to close. I went to the Aveda Institute in San
Oh,
Francisco,
okay, that's right.
and
Okay.
yeah, and then after that, like halfway through my beauty school career, the owner, Cinta, actually ended up like not stalking, but like followed me around. She was like, "Oh my God, I have to have you. You're very like passionate. You're very like committed to learning, and so on and so forth." And at that time, like I was a hair baby. Like I didn't know the
Mhm.
difference between like renting and commission and hourly, and like I just didn't know. But lo and behold, I did end up actually after I graduated from the Cintivat Institute. I worked with her or for her at her salon, and that apprenticeship was the Vidal Sassoon, like their cutting program was the ABCs. So
Eh,
I ended up. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, how did you end up in San Francisco? Like, why did you choose that city?
Just kind of change of scenery. Before that, I was living in on the East Coast. I was actually living in New Jersey, but I was working in Philadelphia. I was
Mm.
doing two things at that time. Actually, I was a dog groomer, so I was dog grooming for like 6.5 years. So I'm very comfortable with a pair of shears in my hand. It's like chasing a moving object with a sharp one, which
Oh,
totally
yeah.
sets me up for like my toddler haircuts, which I rarely do. It's a player client of mine, then I'll take care of your kid. But it's like kids are doing this and
Oh,
dogs
oh,
are doing this, so it's like, yeah.
oh yeah. No, my sons either have like a mullet going on because I just cut the front and they get a Caesar cut and then I leave the back. And I haven't
Totally.
even taken them to the salon yet because I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work.
No, I'm like
As long
there's
as
like
it's
a
out of their eyes, who cares?
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I mean, and that's the thing. Like I always tell the parents, I'm like, okay, there's a church down the street because it's gonna take a miracle and a prayer for me to get through
yeah.
this. Like and actually like but
It's
no, it was good. And so yeah, I worked with her, went through the Vidal Sassoon ABCs. I actually made it through like my bobs and my graduations and my one links and everything. And then I only did that for about a year. And then San Francisco, I was young and just I just was over it. And then that's when
Mhm.
I ended up moving to Portland. So I was there for about 3 years.
And
Top ramen
now,
diet, man.
did you travel? I couldn't remember. Did you travel back and forth to Portland saying, "Hey, I really want to move here," or did you? Because I remember you were almost cold calling salons.
Yeah, so I actually I came to visit the summer before I moved, and then fell in. I mean, I did all the touristy stuff, like
Hmm.
Multnomah Falls, Casey and Alder. Like I walked around and just saw the people. I mean, even like crossing the street here, it's just like people stop for you, and you're like,
Hmm.
oh, you're talking to me, like, and me coming in from San Francisco and even Philadelphia, it was just like, meh, meh, get out of the way, and you just
Yeah,
kind of hope.
yeah.
Like, but I think it was between that and just I fell in love with it here, and I was just looking for a very big change of scenery because like I love the city life, but I'm such an outdoorsy. Carrie even knows
Hmm.
I'm such an outdoorsy person. Like I
Oh,
love
that's
to do
cool.
hikes and stuff by myself. I love to go on bike rides, and yeah, I mean it's just it drew me in. It's easy to fall in love with
Yeah.
Portland's outdoorsy scene here. Yeah.
Okay, so I really like this part is, and I do believe things happen for a reason. So you were trying to look at salons,
Mm-hmm.
nobody was hiring, you were
Mm-mm.
getting discouraged, and then you checked out one last salon. Is that
I
right?
was so mad. I was so frustrated and mad.
God.
So it was only like my maybe like my second, third week being here. First week I gave myself like the buffer and like I did all the fun stuff. And I'm like, okay, it's time to get, shit going. So I made my list and I honestly I really did. I mean, one of my biggest, I would say, advice for like beauty school kids is like really do your research of not necessarily the aesthetic of the salon, but also like the people that are in there
Hmm.
because
The
Yep.
I was
vibe.
looking
Yep.
more of like yeah, and I was more of looking for like, which isn't bad, but I was looking for like the cool kids and the youngers and
Hmm.
like with like around like my age bracket and my style and this and that. But to be in a salon with seasoned stylists and new stylists and
Hmm.
people that maybe specialize in something like that's
Yeah.
what's going to make you more well-rounded. So I really did get lucky with the salon that I did. So yeah, so I ended up making the list and I went to every salon because I still felt the need to do some more training before I went on the floor. Like I just wasn't
Hmm.
quite ready yet. And so I went to salon to salon. Some people weren't even looking up at me. Some people wouldn't give me time of day. So I just like walked out. So finally, like I'm going home, or rather, I'm like looking at my list and I'm starting to kind of make my way home because at this time, like I was already doing this for like 5 or 6 hours. Like I was just kind of aimlessly wandering. And so finally, like I passed the salon I was at previously that I'm at now, and I was so frustrated. I'm like, no, I'm going home. Like I'm over this. I'm over this. So I start walking, and I make it in the middle of the crosswalk, in the middle of the intersection, and I stop and I put my head up. I'm like, just one more, just one more, just one more. It's fine. It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be fine. So I walk in, and the girl at that time, her name's Dorothy. She's like this little 5 foot nothing, copper headed like fireball. I love her. And so I walk in, and she's like, she's like, "Hi, how are you?" And every salon I went into, I'm like, "Hi, my name's Jimmy." Da da da. I get in there, I'm like, "All right, here's the deal." Look at, I was just
And this
so
is
over
French
it.
Studio, right?
Yeah, French Salon Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she starts laughing. She goes, "Oh my God." She goes, I don't, we're not really looking to hire right now." She goes, "But you know what?" She goes, "Hold on, let me just get the owner." So she gets the owner. The owner comes back, and the owner has her hair wrapped up in a towel, like she's getting her services done, which as a stylist, we all know that like it's hard to get our own hair
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm looking, and
Yeah.
I'm like looking at her. I'm like, "Great, yeah, I totally lost this job. Like, awesome." So kind of just like bullshitted for a while, and she's like, "No, we're not really hiring." But they started making me a list of salons, and then finally, all of a sudden, the owner just stops me mid sentence. She goes, "You know what? You're so cute, and you're so adorable, and you're going to be a rock star, and I can't let anybody else have
Mm.
you. Call me in a week. Here's my number. I'm going on vacation. We'll set something up."
Ugh.
And so we did, and it worked out amazingly. And I worked with stylists like there was such an array. Like they actually did come from majority of the same like apprenticeship program here in
Mhm.
town. But everybody had like their own nicks and styles and stuff like that. But it was also nice for me because the owners, I mean, the girls that were there that are seasoned, like, yeah, they went to beauty school like, 15, 20 years ago,
Mhm.
whatever it is. And I'm fresh out of beauty school at that time, it was only like 3 or 4 years or something like that. So the stuff that I learned was the stuff they were paying for to learn. And the stuff that I knew or
Mm.
they knew, they weren't really teaching us like the
Mhm.
traditional, like chunky highlights. And so
Mhm.
it was like a very even, uh, 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 like
Creative almost.
exchange of knowledge. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then Carrie, how long were you working at the French salon then?
So Jimmy worked there before me,
Oh,
and
okay.
um I kind of have a similar story to him where Fringe Salon Studio was the last salon I went to. I knew I wanted to work downtown and was just walking around downtown aimlessly, like passing around my resume. And it was like one of those, I think it was like in June or July. So it was like, I think at the time we were in a heat wave. So it was so hot
Mhm.
out. I was just like sweating. I'm just like, ugh, I feel gross. And I was going around to all these salons, and I was like, I'm just over it. I'm done. And then I was like, one more
That's
salon.
really
And
cool.
that salon happened to be Friend's Salon Studio. So it's just funny how those things work out. And I think it's good to like push yourself and be like,
Mhm.
even that last one, So
And then now, did you guys both move to Portland without having a job first?
yes.
What
I
about
I had one. I was dog grooming still, so
Oh,
I was
okay,
able
got it.
to yeah.
Okay. God, I love that. So, and then now how long have you guys known each other?
Oh,
Oh God,
three and a
I don't
half
even know. I almost
years.
wanted to say 4 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. And then how
Yeah.
hmm
long did you guys work at Fringe together?
Um,
about the
probably
three
the whole
then, I guess.
time. Yeah. Yeah. Probably that whole 4 years.
When Okay, so first of all, so COVID hit, and then Carrie, is that when you decided that you wanted to go out on your own and open your salon, or you thought about doing a salon for a while?
I knew I wanted to open my own salon someday. Um, and it was funny because like before COVID hit, I went on this like big trip to Southeast Asia. I went for like a month. And I remember thinking at that point, like I had worked so hard to go on this trip. It was like a
Mhm.
huge goal of mine. And my travel partner, she's a chiropractor. And we both kind of like talked about like, okay, what are our futures going to look like after this trip? Like, this is just such a refresh. And like, she wanted to open her own practice, and I knew I wanted to open my own salon, but I was like, that's like 5 years down the road.
Mhm.
Like, my plan was to like work at Fringe, and then just I knew it was in my future, but not so soon. And I remember like coming back from that trip and just sort of being like, now what? Which is like
Mhm.
funny because I didn't know it at the moment, but that like was kind of going through my brain. Like I just felt settled in like my life and my goals, and then COVID hit, and it was just sort of like a chain of events that like, I was like, what if I open my own spot, or what if I got my own
Mhm.
solo studio? And then it just got to the point where I was like, why don't I just go for it? And Jimmy, he does education with Bumble. And so, we were just talking and we spent a lot of time together during quarantine. He was like my bubble, and it just got to the point where I was like, dude, we should just fucking
Mhm.
do this. Like, why not?
Mhm.
Like, what's holding
Mhm.
us back? It might have taken a couple tequila shots for me to convince him, but I was like,
Whatever.
Well,
It's
no,
"Okay."
okay. So hold up, but now I remember Jimmy when what's the owner's name of Fringe?
for Colleen.
Okay, so I remember you told me that Colleen had asked you, and I think this is when you were first starting or something. Where do you see yourself in five
Oh
years,
yeah,
right? And you were
yeah.
like, I want to be you.
Totally. Yeah, we actually had the interview. There was a Starbucks like right on the corner, so we met there and like we sit down and she like buys me my coffee or my tea. And so her first question out of her mouth, she like sits back and like has her little clipboard. She like crosses her legs. She goes, "So where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I just stared at her straight in the eyes. I was like, "I want to be you in 5 years."
That's
And she just looked at me like, "You mother!" Like it was like a
yeah.
headline. Like let's be honest about it. But no, but it was true. It was just this idea of I always feel like when I feel stagnant, whether it's in my social settings or my career or something that I'm doing, or I get very like so I always
Mhm.
have to keep elevating even the people around me, because if the people around me are not elevating as
Mhm.
well, I'm a sponge. Like if like Carrie knows it, like if she starts wearing black a little bit more often, I'm like, "Ooh, I want to do that too." Like it's just kind of how I am. So I always try and also be a little bit, I don't want to say like a cheerleader in a bad way, but I also like to
No,
motivate the people around me,
I think that
I
that's
think it's good.
important. Totally.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
Jimmy is a
Like get
huge
on my
reason
level.
I've grown so much in the short amount of time I've been in Portland, because he's always cheered me on, been a good friend, been encouraging, and that's hard to find in
Yeah.
the beauty industry. You don't really find that. So when I met him at Fringe, I was like, this guy, I'm
Mhm.
making him my friend. He's gonna be my friend.
I think
It was the
that's
coffee.
great.
It was the coffee I bought you.
Yeah.
So now, Carrie, when you were talking to Jimmy about your ideas, was it first to have him on as a stylist, right? And not as an owner just yet?
I think like I explained to Jimmy like, "Hey, I'm exploring this. I want you to know." And then it got to the point where I was like, "Well, I think it would be better with Jimmy, like this
Mhm.
idea." So it was more like I explored it on my own because I wanted to just see, but then I was like, I think it would be better with him there.
Is it kind
Mhm.
of because, last year I was kind of considering looking at owning my own salon. And I did do research, like I had my expenses, checking out spaces. And for me, well, first of all, I can't do it because kiddos, I can't focus. And I open in a salon and then with the kids, it just wouldn't work. Um,
Yeah.
and I kept on thinking that I feel like it would work out better if I did have a partner. Did you feel that way, Carrie?
Oh, 100%. Like, and as the process went on, it just made sense. Like, I feel like Jimmy's just that type of person, and we've kind of like on this journey in our partnership where it's like, he's the yin to my yang almost.
Mhm.
It's like I'm bad at this, he's good at that. He's bad at that, I'm good at this. So we like balance
Mm.
each other out, and I think
Mhm.
without each other, like it's just so nice to have someone to bounce ideas off of
Mhm.
too. And just have someone where you share the same vision. I think that's a big thing too, is like we just, like Jimmy said earlier, we're always growing, we're always wanting to
Mhm.
like push ourselves. And not everybody's like that. I've kind of
Mm-mm.
learned too. Like I'm
Which is
not the
weird
person
to
that ever
me.
stay in my comfort zone, and Jimmy's not either.
Yeah. No,
What were
no.
you going to say, Jimmy?
Well, what she was saying that how there's people around that just kind of are okay with being where they're at, which is not a bad thing. But in
Yeah.
my head, like I would go nuts. Like I
Mhm.
would get cabin fever just being on this plane for forever. And again, it's just I don't know. Maybe it's because I have the attention span of a 4-year old and I'm always like looking for the new now
Mhm.
next. But I mean, that's also a reason why I love this industry so much. It's like today it's about lobs and tomorrow it might be about like
Mhm.
shaving your head back off. So it's just changing and I love
Yeah.
it. But Carrie's the same way. Carrie definitely is the yin to my yang for sure. Like there are things. that she's very good at that I'm not. And aside of even like hair wise, I'm talking business aspect wise, because there will be times where either I might want to jump into something or just want to get something done, or vice versa, and we'll kind of stop each other. And I think the cool part is like we're able to stop each other and take a step back and realize that like it's okay to do that. And also between her and I, we've agreed that there's no such thing as like a stupid question. And
Mm-hmm.
that would be something I would recommend, is finding a business partner that like sorry, I'm getting a call. Finding a business partner, there we go, that you do reach like even intellectually, or you don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're being talked down to, or you have to talk down to them, or you have to carry them emotionally, or like you just, there's this very clear understanding between her and I that like, yes, we are best friends, but like that's different from business. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like we have so many different hats, but the way that we run our business is like, it's very similar, and we have a very similar I guess work ethic would be.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I like going back to the thing about like always wanting to push yourself, and then other stylists. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So like, and I totally get that. You would see other people who have settled and are okay with that. I used to think that that was wrong, not wrong, but not motivating. And then I
Hmm.
will tell you, this is for me, having kids and having a family, I have to be okay with that, with where I'm at right now with
Hmm.
my career.
Hmm.
But I also moved to a different salon where I feel entirely more inspired, and I've gotten more clients from that.
That's amazing. See, that's amazing. I think that like your environment absolutely dictates how your
Hmm.
attitude is going to
Oh,
be
totally.
also, and like who you're working with. And I think that also
Completely.
your environment dictates the type of clientele that you're going to have in
Oh,
your
yeah.
chair, because
Yep.
like you could be the best at, I don't know, braids or twists, and but at the same time, if your environment doesn't invite that type of a project into your chair, you're not going to get that. So
Mm-mm.
you need to put yourself in an environment where all is inviting and all is, and I'm not talking that saying that the salons I've been in weren't like that, but definitely within the areas that I'm in, like working downtown in the Pearl and then now on the east side, oh, you can absolutely see the
Hmm.
difference of clientele coming in your chair for sure.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just right now, it's just me and Chelsea are behind the
Mhm.
chair, and Chelsea's the owner. She's really kick ass.
Awesome.
Her type of clientele is completely different than mine.
Hmm.
Like mine more are the creative colors, the
Love
balayages
it.
that maybe take like a couple hours.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it is coming to a space that doesn't have a lot of stylists, so I can really feel out with what I want for my clientele and what I'd like to project, and actually like just enjoying the space, because sometimes I work by myself. I used to be kind of kind of weirded out if that would be weird, and it's
Mhm.
actually really nice
Yeah.
for right now.
Yeah.
So now for you guys, okay, so Carrie, you were thinking about owning your business, and then COVID hit.
Yes.
Okay. How did you keep pushing yourself through? Like, when did you guys actually start looking at spaces, or did you guys have a game plan before actually looking at spaces?
Um, Not at all. Like it's just
Mhm.
funny. This process is just sort of like bleh, is the best way to
Yeah.
Yeah.
describe. Like
Yeah.
it sort of is
Like,
like happened. Like
yeah.
we started looking at spots probably like very early on, like April, May.
Yeah.
Was it all different locations? So like north,
Oh
east side? Okay.
yeah, yeah, east side, but like everywhere, which was kind
Okay.
of fun, right? Like looking at all these places where it was like, oh, I didn't know it was there. Oh,
Hmm.
and then I think too, like me and Jimmy talk now and we're like, oh, thank God that place didn't work out, or
Oh,
oh, that,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
it's cool, like just seeing your now having like the perspective of, oh, there's a reason why they didn't work out,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
so I think it just sort of like flowed, but we looked at a ton of places. A lot of
Yeah.
people told us no. A lot of people didn't want to rent to salons because of
Hmm.
COVID. A lot of people were
And
with
it's
lack
the
of survey.
water. It's the water. Like the plumbing, sometimes I've talked to
Oh
spaces,
yeah.
they're like, "No, we can't. It's
Yeah,
additional plumbing and then like water and all that stuff."
Hmm.
and it's expensive to do those sort of things
Yeah.
too. So yeah, I mean, and that was a lot. So I think like that had to do with it on top of COVID too. Like
Okay.
a lot
Well,
of people
I
were.
Yeah, I also because Carrie and I talked about this. I think like also us going in and like, yeah, we're younger and like, yeah, we may not like look the business part, but it's like
Mm,
we felt going in, it's like, oh cool, here's the guy with like neck tattoos and the girl with pink hair. And
mhm,
it was like we really had to like A, dress the part, and B,
and
like use
advocate for
terminology
ourselves.
that like these people didn't think we would know, or even just explaining details on like lease agreements and stuff.
mhm,
Like we've read, like, I mean, this is like an 86 page just word vomit of
mhm,
terminology of lawyer jargon and legal jargon, and we've reread it I don't know how many times, and it's good that we did, because there's things that we fought for, whether it was like, oh, we're not going to pay for the extra plumbing, I
mhm.
want you guys to do that, or like electrical outlets and all that stuff. And so by basically what I'm saying is, by the end of it and after fighting for all of it, then we kind of switch over to the work team of like the electrician and the construction crew and all that. And we have to re-explain ourselves because they
Mm,
think that like we're responsible for X, Y, and Z. And we're like, no,
mhm.
like, so I mean, and again, to
Yeah,
put a time frame on for the listeners, it's like we started this in March. We're in May right now. Like this, we didn't
yeah,
think that like, oh, March
it
of
would.
last year, but like we didn't think, nobody thought COVID or quarantine was going to last.
Mhm.
We thought, oh, cool, we'll get like 3 weeks, and we'll have a week off and like party, and then we'll go back to work and we'll own our own salon and let that be that. And lo and behold,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
maybe,
the journey, and it's very humbling. That's why I think like
Mhm.
oh
this
god, yeah.
this situation has, if we can start a salon during this time, we can survive a lot because
Oh
we've
yeah.
Mhm.
been torn down. We've been like it's been hard, and I think like Jimmy said, people would look up and down at us,
Yeah.
and I'm a woman with pink hair. He's a dude with tons of tattoos. Me too. But yeah, we would have to like dress and look the part, and
Mm,
it's sad that that is a thing, but it is.
mm.
Yeah.
You
And then
know,
Yeah.
now, were you guys looking, because now you are in your place, Concrete Treehouse is in a newer development building. When you
Hmm.
yes,
guys were looking at spaces, did you look for salons for sale? Did you look for maybe salons going out of business or even older buildings?
Yeah, we did all of it. I
all
mean,
of it.
I even reached out to salon owners all over, from like New York to Texas to San Diego to San Francisco and I was just asking them like, hey, I know you're probably busy or whatever, like if you can give me a couple sentences of like things, the shit you wish you knew, or the red flags you wish you knew before going in and talking to these people. And every single person, I mean, just a novel. Every single, and a novel of just
And these were
information.
owners, right?
Owners, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I knew one girl that I talked to was, the head educator or the owner for Pony Education, Karina Hernandez,
Mhm.
and she was like a really big one that she's such a busy girl that I was like, oh, I'll see if she has some knowledge for me. I mean, this girl just whoop, she just
That's
like
great.
sent me to church like this, and it was so great because I utilized that, and I even talked to I have a couple friends here that own like restaurants and boutiques and stuff, and one in particular, our friend Sanjay, who owns the Sudra. They're like vegan Indian fusion restaurants here. He started in a food cart, and now he
Mm.
has like 3 or 4 locations. So I'm like,
Very
that's the guy
inspiring.
I want to talk to. Like,
Very
who's your
inspiring. Yeah.
exactly? Starting from there and working his way up. So
How did you guys end up with, because the place that you guys were looked at or that you found wasn't even done. So
no,
how did you
No.
guys and why did you guys choose that space? And where's the location at?
It's on 28th and Everett. It's on the east side.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's by tons of cool little spot. It's by the Sud. There's a Sudra over there.
there is a
Spot
Sudra right there.
bar. Yeah, I think what it was funny because when we looked at it, we both kind of looked at each other like, no, we're just looking at spots right now. Like,
Yeah.
this is cool. But and then the broker, he even had this attitude of like, well, this isn't going to be done until a long time. So why are we wasting our time?
And you guys had a broker, right? So you found a broker?
So this was just the broker of the
Yeah.
building.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, we worked
Yeah.
with multiple faces,
Got it.
and some that we thought we would keep working with, and then kind of we got ghosted. So,
Mm.
so things like
Yeah.
that.
It's happened. I have this one girl because I tried to look for spaces,
Hmm.
and then it was a broker. She's like, "Well, if you really want to contact these people of like commercial spaces, you should have a broker."
Hmm.
Right.
And I know that costs a little bit more money to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing with us that we kind of got in on was like repeating it back though, but the owner of the Sudras, he worked with a lot of like the commercial space companies around here, and the biggest one was it Urban Works, Carrie?
Yes.
They're around
Urban
everywhere.
Works, and
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
everywhere, yeah.
They're
But
kind of the cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was nice because like I would I mean, I don't want to say name drop, but it was to let honestly who we were working with know like we're serious. Like we know other business people. Like we're
Yeah.
not just two
Yeah.
kids like fucking around. But it
And
was funny because
we were on a budget
oh
too, so we wanted to do a lot of it ourselves. Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt.
No,
So
no,
a
no,
lot
no,
of
you're
it.
fine.
So what do you mean a lot of it? What does that mean?
Like there were certain things I think me and Jimmy were like, well, we can figure this out. We don't like
Like
we
can
can't
do the
afford to
tiling, we can
pay
do
a
the
broker. Like,
painting. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. We're
Uh,
very big DIYers. So it's like I think being such go-getters, we're like, nah, we'll just figure it out. No, we'll
which
just figure it out.
you guys are you guys doing vintage vanities?
Hmm.
Oh,
yes.
that's cool. I saw a post
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been standing. We got one from an estate sale for, I mean, not to be whatever. It was $10, and it's like from the 50s or something.
Awesome.
And it was. I mean, me and Carrie looked at it. We're like, "Do we do it? We should do it. We should totally do it."
I
And
just
everyone was.
them.
Yeah. We're like
So
$10.
cool.
So we sanded it down and we painted it and we put new
Aw.
knobs on it and like coated it. Oh yeah, we're just. There's a
We're
vision.
artists through and through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now because this journey has taken forever, because I remember, Jimmy, when you told me that you got the space,
Mhm.
which was a while ago,
Mhm.
and now it's just finishing up. So how did you guys decide to hang on to that space and not leave it?
Carrie and I kind of talked about that. We kind of thought about it too. We're like, God, we can just walk away from this and just
Yeah.
open our own. Like,
Because you guys didn't put any money into it or anything.
no, we were just talking to these people, and so I think really what it was is that they, yeah, there was like this thing of them being so hungry to get us in there. So
Mm.
that felt good that they not nagged us, but like they kept like, hey, how's it going? We don't check
Oh,
like,
that's
back
cool.
up on you. But I think like when we started getting into it, we're like, you know what? Sure, like let's figure this part out because we haven't tried to bid on like a brand new building being built. Everywhere we looked
Mhm.
was already said and done. And so we kind of stuck around. We're like, well, this is kind of cool. Okay, well, this is kind of neat. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. And in terms of just like we started realizing the stuff that we were asking for and fighting for. And Carrie, like her biggest thing is she's like, what's the worst they can say is no. So like I
Yeah.
said, we started
Yeah.
fighting for free rent and half off rent and them paying for electricals
Throwing
and
shit out there.
oh,
Keep it-
just going for it because we figured it's the
Yep.
pandemic. Like they're
Let's
gonna want us. Yeah, like let's negotiate. So after we started really getting what we wanted, we were like, oh, I would wait for 2 more months for this.
This is
oh,
where
I
the
would wait
cool.
2 more. Yeah. So it
Which-
just kind of felt right.
Well, which by the way is what I learned about with commercial spaces is the triple net and then the square footage, the amount per square footage, which you can negotiate the amount per square footage, but you cannot negotiate the triple net. Is that right?
Correct.
Yes.
And then
Correct.
what is the triple net for you guys? Like what is that included? Or what does that include?
I think we're on our own water system. Well, obviously, because we're a salon. And then what is the triple? And
I
it's
think
like
it's
trash and common space
Yeah.
and like
it's
if we
trash
have like
and taxes too.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the taxes, which is the average of the building, right? The other commercial spaces within that building. Okay.
Yeah, and then I think it also includes like maintenance and stuff. So if we ever have any issues or something on the building, or unfortunately someone tagged this, it's
Yeah.
that's what all that's for.
And then did you guys talk down the price per square footage?
Yes, we
Yes.
did. And we originally wanted a different because it's a new building, 3 spots. We
Mhm.
originally wanted a different spot. They pushed us into the other. So we were like, motherfuckers, if you're gonna push us into this other space,
Like
you're
yeah.
gonna get this, it's gonna be this. And they were like, okay. And we were like,
How much was can you tell me how much originally the amount per square footage was? Because usually what I've been hearing or seeing is like $30, $35 for newer spaces.
Oh, ours was
I think it was around 35.
Okay.
something like
And
that.
maybe
Yeah,
talked
but
down $5 to $7 a square foot or
Okay.
something. Yeah.
And then how
Yeah.
long is your guys' lease for?
That was the biggest one that we tried to get, at least like a 3-year lease, but the
Okay.
gentleman that was the owner was very adamant that he was like, no, I know I can get somebody in here for 5 years. And we're like, okay,
Okay.
you know what? Like, you've already been kind of so well on like saying yes and yes and yes to things we've been
To the
fighting
other
for. Like, if this is the one thing that like you don't want to negotiate on, then like I'd be okay with that, you know.
And then
And that's
now, oh, sorry. Did you guys speak with the actual owner of the building and the commercial spaces, or was this all through the broker?
it
all
was
through
all
the
through
broker.
the
Oh, okay.
broker and email. So that's another thing why it took so long, is because there was just too many hands in the honeypot. Like, it was just too many people talking at once, and then it was like, we need this information and we get it, but then it get lost. And it was just, you know,
Is a
COVID
broker?
definitely made it weird.
Yeah. Is a broker physically here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we would meet with him and everything like that.
Oh,
So
good.
he took the reins in the beginning, but now that we're all said and done and signed, like the lease agreement, we already sent the first rent check and security deposit
Nice.
and all that. So we're locked in and ready, which is why we finally felt comfortable releasing like the website and the name and the Instagram and everything.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So now is the web okay, so first of all, the space it's 675 square feet. Is that right?
600,
650.
654,
Oh,
650,
650.
something
Yeah.
like that.
54.
So how
Yeah.
many stations are you gonna have? Oh wait, hold on a minute, guys. Let's see. All right. First, no, I was worried about my fucking computer again.
Oh yeah. Just stop recording again.
Motherfucker! Mark Maron. I'm having a Mark Maron moment.
I love it.
God, this one is
It's-
definitely explicit.
Well, yeah. Well, you
Right?
understand
I'm like,
last
can I
time-
cuss on here? Because I have a mouth of a sailor. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Which actually I've toned it down a lot since the kids
Oh,
have
yeah.
gotten bigger. Like I've noticed that I've really toned it down a lot.
Well, you
Okay,
did it
to
last
say
time too. You're
fuck
like,
to just shit and darn, you know.
yeah. No, but you said it last time. You're like, I just didn't realize I ran out of space. Like, it was just the energy was going, and we were all laughing, and I just didn't know what to do.
I was so upset because I really love talking to you guys, and I'm like,
Aw.
okay, so the square footage is about 650 square feet. How
Mhm.
many stations are you gonna have in there?
5, 6, 8.
Yeah.
Wow.
I started
Wow.
out
Okay.
I'm
4, 5.
yeah. I'm
'Cause you
pretty
guys-
good at-
Well, you guys were saying, Jimmy, when I was talking to you, I think you even said like only 3 at
Yeah.
first, right?
Yeah, because now once we actually got in there, I'm very with space. I feel like I'm relatively comfortable saying I can utilize small space. So
Mhm.
Carrie was just staring at me while I'm standing there looking at the space like the movie from A Beautiful Mind, and I'm just like, okay, stations can go there, and then like the water, you know, the shampoo bowls can go there. And after kind of putting everything together, it was like, oh shit, like I could put a station over here and right next to it, but then move like the front desk angled. And so I mean, with COVID restrictions, we'll definitely probably just start with the 3.
Mhm.
We're still trying to figure
Everyone-
out with the shampoo bowl area, because we have to call state board to really figure it out, because some people will still be, let's say, 3 feet apart, but they have like a plastic or like something in between them as a barrier. So if we can have the shampoo bowls, you know, only 3 feet, but still have that plastic barrier, those are things that'll like, well, then yeah, we could fit like 5 stations in if we can do that in between everybody. But we also don't want our stylists to be crammed or anything like that, because that's the other thing. We're also not trying to fill chairs. Like we're trying to build a family and a brand, and we want you to work with us, not for us, is our biggest thing.
And then how many, if you guys had 5 chairs, like what, like 2 shampoo bowls?
We're going to be set up for 2 shampoo bowls and then the dispensary sink. But we're also going to be left behind with a like a setup to have a 3rd shampoo bowl later.
Oh,
So-
that's great.
Oh, so
And that was Carrie's idea, which was great.
I think that's really smart.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Now you guys signed the lease. Okay, do you want to talk about your opening date? Like, well, first of all, tell me the aesthetic of the concrete tree house and how you came up with the name.
I'll let Jimmy.
Go for it, Carrie. Oh,
Me.
yeah. Well, you
I had
talk
no
about the aesthetic.
idea. I had no idea with the name. So that's Jimmy, but like we came together and was like, he's like, I like this. I was like, well, I like that too. And then we just sort of rolled with words. So
Right.
I had no idea with the name, but it was funny because there are certain things like aesthetic and this I knew, like I was very adamant on. But the
We
name
were,
I was like,
yeah.
I don't know, hair salon, like
What's the aesthetic? What was it that what draws you to the aesthetic? Like what kind of aesthetic?
I think like if you look at my house and Jimmy's house, you would think it was like the same. Like we have
Mm,
very similar aesthetic. His is definitely probably a little more masculine. But I think like we're total, like Jimmy said earlier, DIYers, thrifting. I like to thrift and then I also like to buy like higher end things. So I
mhm,
like the variety of like, ooh, that, velvet couch is dope. You could tell that's
Mhm.
expensive. But then I have like dollar trinkets on the walls, stuff I found on the
Little
curb. Like I
tchotchkes.
love, yeah.
And I mean, that was the thing too. I think with us, we wanted the aesthetic to be not even necessarily so much set up like a salon as we wanted it to be inviting, like almost like a faux IKEA setup, to be honest. Like
mm,
we just wanted it to feel like a home. And I think that with that being said, it there's just so much going on in the world. I mean, from news to social
mhm,
media to health to, I mean, all of it, that we want our clients are, to come in and feel like they can kind of leave that behind and just
mhm.
like relax. So the setups of the idea of having even the vintage vanities with like lamps and like a dresser and like a rug,
Oh, that's cool.
it's essentially just to make you feel like, oh shit, I'm home. Like I'm cool, I'm
That's
safe.
cool.
And
And
that's our, yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
what's the color scheme?
Um,
We're a little all over. Like we're trying to stay more like tan beige neutrals, just
Mhm.
because, I had this idea of like on the station where the walls are gonna go, I want like this dark, like foresty green with like gold accents. And then me and Carrie like kind of stopped and we're like, yeah, that's not gonna look very nice reflecting on my platinum like level 10 blonde. So
Oh
like,
yeah, see, it's smart. Very
so
smart.
it's
Yeah.
so we're trying to stick on the walls. We're trying to stay more of like the tans, the beiges, the grays.
right.
But we're gonna have it be set up plain white. I think with the idea of us having like, it's gonna be very busy, but very like almost eclectic. But it's gonna have unity to it. But
Mhm.
our main, I don't want to say gimmick or shtick, but like we're just gonna have plants everywhere, and I think
Yeah, I was
that
gonna
will
ask you.
essentially be, yeah. I mean, from all different kinds of plants, but we do want to do a mural, like a fun little like geometric, like just moderny, funky, like retro. I don't even know how to explain it, but we're just gonna kind of have fun with it and
That's
go,
cool.
because yeah, yeah.
And you guys have it's high ceilings with a lot of natural lighting, right?
Yeah, we
Okay.
have. I think are they 12 or 14-foot ceiling? They're high rise ceilings because it's on the first floor. We did find out that they're actually going to be painting the ceilings black, which
Mm,
we didn't really want. And then they thought about actually putting up like, how do I explain this? Like I've seen them in restaurants where like they put like almost like it's to buffer the sound, where they put them on the ceiling and then it kind of
okay.
so
Yeah.
we told them like, oh no, like we fell in love with the high ceilings. But we also plan on kind of having some outdoor swing lights like this behind
Oh,
me,
okay.
so I think the black ceiling with those and then the intimacy of it, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be
Mhm.
good. Yeah, something
Yeah.
different.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, so you guys have already signed the lease and you have paid your deposit.
Hmm.
When is your opening date?
Go for it, Carrie.
So our timeline um is we've approved the plans. So basically the building is done. There's tenant upstairs, but with the businesses downstairs, they need to finish the guts of it. So like the bathroom, and then all the
Electrical outlets, yeah.
then we were able to negotiate a lot of that for them to do since it's already bare bones. So we've submitted plans to the city. It's going to get approved. We're hoping to start construction in June and be open by August.
That's
Hmm.
great.
Yeah,
So if you guys are open in August, are you expecting to have an extra stylist there or do you want it just the both of you for now?
we're open. I think
Hmm.
yeah, we're total like just go with the flow vibe people. So if someone comes along and the vibe is good and we're on the same page, sure.
Hmm.
Uh, but if not, that's okay too.
Yeah.
What
I
stylist are you looking for?
Well, I think with that end, like that's the part to where we're not necessarily looking for something. How do I explain this? Like, I don't want to keep saying me, because I have such like this
Mhm.
envisionment in my head that Carrie's so trusting. But it's like I just want a different array. Like I don't. necessarily want the same in my salon. But the
Mhm.
biggest thing is like, I need to make sure that you also work well with the other people in the salon. So you could be amazing and have a solid clientele, and you can pay me your year in advance of rent and all that. But if you don't work well with me, I'm not going to want
Right.
you there because it's just not going to flow. So I told Carrie, because I'm very big on education, because before the pandemic, I was flying around with some of the main Bumble educators from New York. And, I was flying around to, San Francisco and like LA area. And so, yes, like quality cuts in education in general, like that's a very big deal to
Yeah.
me. So in my head, I would like, I'm still kind of figuring it out, but in my head, I would love to have stylists at least with a year or two of experience on the floor.
Mhm.
They don't have to have necessarily like a set clientele base, because obviously as a new salon, we're going to need new clients to go somewhere, including with us. So we're still
Mhm.
building too now because we're able to open more days. Um, I want you to bring a model in. Like you can have your portfolio. It could say you've done
Mhm.
hair for that long, but again, like I want you to bring someone in, like something a little bit more challenging. Let's say like like a one length bob, just very structured. With like some, I don't know, highlights, but you did something different with it. And so what I'll have you do is bring the model in, and I'll work with you. Like I'll work on my station, bring my chair and my clients in just to see how well we mesh.
Mhm.
And so, but again, like my biggest thing is like referring back to environment, like, yes, unfortunately, I've always worked in a salon where, I mean, not unfortunately, I've just worked in salons where, yeah, you see the generic, like your highlights and your gray
Mhm.
coverage, and your women's cuts and your men's cuts. But with our salon, like, we're even looking for verbiage. Like, I don't want to call a cut a women's cut or like a men's cut,
Right.
or like,
Right.
we're looking for it to just be very neutral and
Mhm.
inviting for everybody. And so that being said, like, I would love to see somebody who does like dreads and braids and twists in my
Mhm.
salon. I would love to see somebody that, I don't know. I mean, I mean, I don't do perms, but like if that's you, like that's cool. But
Mhm.
I'm sure I could take something from it. So you see what I'm saying is like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring people in that have skills that are badass that I don't have. Cause you're damn well sure, like, I want to help you elevate. And it's not because like, oh, I'm the reason you got here. It's like, oh no, you did all the hard work. Like, I'm just helping to elevate you. So like, if
Mm.
you want to teach me some shit, like, let me teach you some shit too.
I love
Because like,
that.
yeah, and because like, no, unfortunately, like I don't have a lot of people with overly textured hair on my books
Mhm.
as much as I would love. And even trying to find that type of education here, actually I was talking to my barber about it, that we were even looking for like men's cutting barber classes for like textured hair.
Mm.
And it's very hard here, and it's sad, but I would just love to find people that are willing to share knowledge,
Mhm.
because the
W
salons that I was in San Francisco was not like that. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a pretty blonde. How did you do that? Oh, well, that's my formula. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, not
Well,
everyone was like that, but yeah.
and from doing the podcast, I've actually reached out to people with different textured hair or have like worked with only black hair or
Yeah,
can work with both. And I
yeah.
had Lexi, I interviewed Lexi. She sat
Oh,
in
it's
my
amazing.
chair and I was able to work on her hair. And I felt really good about it because it
That's
was like I'm
awesome.
such a novice,
Right.
and she was so sweet about it too, which I
Yeah,
love. And
yeah,
I keep on pushing her. I do hope that she teaches classes because I asked her, I'm like, you should really do this.
yeah.
So,
Aside,
um,
and I soak it all in,
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what I love the fact is, and I think that's the other thing is what I really like about you two is you can really tell, I can tell about teamwork is very important for you. Having family, kind of family oriented environment. And I feel there are salon owners that don't get it. They don't get it.
Mm-mm.
It's just like if you don't have a strong team or you don't see that as a value, it makes it really hard for multiple stylists to work at a salon. That's what I feel like.
The camaraderie of
Oh,
it.
totally.
That's huge, huge,
Mhm.
huge for me because I think me and Jimmy were gonna have a booth rent salon. Um, I think the advantage of that is like you can make your own schedule. You can
Mhm.
choose whatever color you want to do. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do, like as far as your hours and whatever you want to use. But then having the camaraderie of like a salon environment
Mhm.
to where you don't feel alone because we all run into issues or crazy clients or a situation where you're like, oh my God, her hair's turning
Yeah.
red or
Yeah.
whatever. To have an environment where you feel okay coming to your coworkers, like, hey, what do you think about this, is so big. And I think too, being in an environment where you feel appreciated and loved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like the vibey one, the
Hmm.
hippie one, right?
Totally.
Want to make sure that my stylists feel appreciated. They have everything that they need. I want to set them up for success.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
kind
that
of
that's great. Yeah, I do really like. So with me and Chelsea, we get along really well. We've gone out a couple times. She has children also, but I feel like with her, what I like is having that business kind of boundary with her. It's like I can spend time with her and hang out with her outside of the salon, but we still have this like professional relationship.
yeah.
Oh yeah, us behind out or us away from our chair. Like, there's no judgment between her and I of like as a business owner, because
Yeah,
as friends we're funky, we're just out
I
there,
love
we're
it.
loud, we're
I
goofy.
love
But as
that.
business people, it's like, oh no, hold on, let me just like let me get my shit together. But it
Yeah,
so
let me
it's
look like I know what I'm talking
right.
about.
So like, if we go, I mean, I not that I can rage like a 21-year-old anymore, but say we go out and rage and have our fun, and then like the next day we have work to do or whatever, it's like I'm
It's
not
been,
going to judge her on the fun
yeah.
that we had that night, because that doesn't dictate the type of businesswoman she is.
Right.
She likes to have fun.
So
Yeah.
with you guys opening up in August, I don't know. It's so hard because you want to have parties and you want to throw events, especially with
Mhm.
you guys having an opening.
Mhm.
And I know we can't really determine what's going to happen, but more people are getting vaccinated. Do you guys have a game plan for that?
Not right now. I think once that time comes, I think we'll kind of
We'll
feel it
cross that
out.
bridge when we get there. Yeah, we
That's
would love to
Uh-huh.
smart.
have an opening party, but I want to vibe out the how comfortable people are where we're at. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna like
Mhm.
do that if we're not there as a country, or
Hmm.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I think the other fun part too is, there's even we're trying to work. Our biggest thing is like we want to make sure we're working with the community that we're in. We're not just again trying to open a salon and a business. Like our biggest thing is like, we do want to make sure we're doing. Everybody does charity shit in November and
Hmm.
December. Everybody like I want to do stuff like that in August, or I want to do stuff like
Hmm.
that in July. Like that's another big thing that we want to make sure. And also, with the opening and everything, backtracking. We were saying basically like our thing will be like, what did we say? Come help us fill our treehouse. And basically like
I love
I've already
it.
had clients like bring me plants, and some of them moved. I had one
Oh,
girl, she moved away to New York. Hold on. And before she left, she like made this by hand, and
oh,
she
that's
like planted
cute.
it. And yeah, so it's like things like this. I'm like, come help us fill. So it's nice that, granted, she was like
Oh,
one of my favorite clients, and I'm like, it's just this is going to remind me of her. And of course, we'll see each other
Yeah.
eventually.
that's
But
really sweet.
yeah, things like that. It's just nice. So
Which by the way, I'm a total plant person.
mhm.
What's that behind you? Is that's not a monstera, is it?
No, it's like a banana leaf, like a
Banana
banana leaf
leaf.
plant.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna write that down. I have them. Oh God, like, can you guys
The
see
one
my?
thing you take away from this
Oh yeah,
podcast,
no.
the banana. Okay.
Over there,
Oh,
I
I
have
love
those
it.
over here. Yeah, no.
Can you guys see? Can you see my
Your
Yeah.
space?
setup is actually really solid.
I
Like,
had
Yeah.
to, yeah, I had a
impressive.
monstera, and it was in a huge ass pot, and then and it's funny because monsteras really like to be in tighter closed pots. And
Hmm.
so when I pulled it out, I was like, holy shit, like this doesn't even, I'm like, I could put this in a smaller pot. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like right down there.
Oh, you even have
And
like the stem. It's like growing up on and everything.
yeah, yeah. So I've been having fun with that. So I'm gonna be excited to go to your space and see all your plants.
Oh gosh, yeah. So we're stoked. I mean, we've even there's even I haven't gotten in contact with her yet, but it's happening. But anyways, there's a local plant shop here out a little outside of town that is willing to work with us and bring in like giant potted plants to kind of just have as space holders. And
Oh, that's
then
cool.
yeah, and then she's gonna come in and like switch them out, and and
Would
plant
you
them
have
and
them
water
for
them.
sale
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would work. Yeah,
there? What
yeah.
shop is that?
I have it on an email. It's a friend that's working there, and it's oh,
It's in Beaverton,
stag
right?
staghorn.
Oh yeah,
Stag,
Staghorn Mercantile.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have
Yep.
one of my actually our one of my best friends is working there, and she's like, hey, so I talked to the owner, and I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, and I'm like, I didn't ask you to do that. She goes,
That's
I
really
know, but like I'm
sweet.
here to help you. So I think the idea of her being able to have like a big plant or two here in the city compared to Beaverton, like that'll help her and that'll help us. And like, it's
Yeah,
an
we want
equal exchange. Yeah.
That's
And that's the
great.
thing, is we want to support all the local businesses. We want to like work with the community. We want to, yeah, I'm excited. I'm so
Oh, that's so
excited.
exciting. Which, by the way, so Concrete Treehouse has kind of like concrete jungle, right? Kind of like New
Yeah.
York. That's the idea, right?
A little bit. Like it was a funny slight nod to New York, because actually before the pandemic, my career path was changing, not the industry, but the path. So I was actually interviewing for the West Coast educator for Bumble and Bumble. So I would have been in charge all the way from Vancouver, BC,
Mm,
all of California, Austin, Texas, a little bit. I would actually have been a shoe in for like New York Fashion Week. I would have like
yeah.
traveled to New York
mhm,
and taught there and blah blah blah. So it was, unfortunately with the pandemic, obviously traveling was not a thing, so I had to figure out my next step. So yeah, it was kind of like one of the little reasons why it was a part of it. But again, the biggest thing was trying to create a space, like not a club, but just like a hangout spot. And I was like, well,
mhm.
I've always, and I think it just kind of was like literal. I was like, oh, I
I
want a
love it.
hangout spot, like a tree house. Like I want a tree house,
Everybody
I want
wants
a
to
club.
hang
I
out.
mean,
Yeah.
there might have, what's that?
That everybody wants to hang out in the
Yeah.
treehouse.
Yeah. And I mean, there may have been like, a bottle of wine involved, but but that's just
Yeah.
how the process goes. So,
And
but
when I was gonna say, so Carrie, you are working at a salon on the east side, and then Jimmy, you just started working there how long ago?
my last day over there was Halloween. So November 1st was when I started at this place. So November, December, January, March, April. Oh my gosh, I've already been there 6 months.
So
But
are your clients pretty excited for you guys? Because obviously they know both of you,
hmm
right? Do you guys work beside each other?
hmm
Oh, good.
Yes. And like my client, it's funny, like my clients know Jimmy. Some of my clients know Jimmy's clients. Jimmy knows
hmm
clients. Like
I love
we are
that.
total like, hey, how you doing? Hey,
Uh-huh.
Michelle. Like we know, yeah, they're super pumped for us. And they've been along for the ride with us too.
Yeah.
Mm,
Like I think they've known the ups and downs of this. And
mhm,
and I think too, this goes back to community, is a lot of them have been there for us and have helped us with like we have clients that are brokers, we have clients that
mhm.
architects and this and that too. They've really helped us, and so that's been cool, I think, for them. Because I think being a hairstylist, as you meet a lot of people that do cool
Oh,
things.
yeah, yeah.
hmm
I've
Yeah,
learned so much with all the variety of clients that I have sitting in my chair.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's been really cool.
I mean,
It's so
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, from being a business owner to being a mom to being like, I mean, you just learn so much,
Mhm.
and everyone has such great ideas, and then you take
Yes.
what you can and what you can't. But Carrie's right, like we have so many, like, we call them OGs, like we have so many OG
That's
clients,
awesome.
and it's like, yeah. And like there'll be clients that like will pass each other and they're like, oh my god, hi, and it's like they
Yeah,
didn't know if they knew each
I love
other.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for doing this for a third time.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
gonna make sure to
apparently.
yeah. And it's still recording, so it hasn't
Oh,
stopped recording.
we made it. We did it.
So to close off, what would you say advice for somebody that is looking to start their own salon? And then what advice do you have for people just starting in the hair industry?
Ooh. I would
uh,
say for opening a salon, like there truthfully and really is no such fucking thing as a stupid question.
Mm,
There, like it's
yeah.
just not. Like if you're thinking it, if you're a little confused by the words, if they're talking too fast, if you have to make them repeat them fuck themselves like 4 or 5 times, then
Mhm.
you have them do it, because the
yeah.
numbers
Yeah.
that Carrie and I are playing with in terms of like dollar signs, it's a lot for us,
Mhm.
Yeah.
especially during a pandemic. So you need to make sure you're not being an asshole. You're not being a bitch just because you're a woman. You're speaking up and you're defending
Yeah.
yourself. No,
Mhm.
you're getting shit done.
Yeah.
So that would be that. Is like if you're opening a salon, like no question's a stupid question. And then for students, don't don't put yourself in a box. Don't
Mm.
don't put yourself in this box of, oh, did we lose her?
Oops.
There she is.
Yeah.
But for a student, don't put yourself in this box because when I first started with beauty school, they would ask us like, what do you plan on doing? I was like, I'm strictly cutting hair, like fuck color. Like I'm just doing the cuts and so on. And then I got in there, and as soon as I applied, because I also like paint and everything too. So it's like as soon as I started to apply color theory as an artist for acrylics and oils to hair, and like yellow and purple and orange, and blue, and it clicked, and I was like, oh my god, this is so much fun. So what I'm basically saying is, don't limit yourself, don't commit yourself to something quite yet. Like feel it out and then go from there. And also find a salon with seasoned stylists. Just because they're older than you and you think that they don't know the newer trends, it's like no, like they know the basic foundation to get that haircut. Just because they didn't learn it the way you did, they can get there.
Oh, and also to build a clientele.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Like you need to make sure you find a salon with decent foot traffic, not just because it's cool and hip and like they play fucking rad music. It's like, no, you gotta put in the work before you can listen to the cool music and work with the younger kids. I mean that, but you see what I'm saying.
Yeah. And then how about you, Carrie? What advice do you have?
I think for someone that wants to start their own business, don't give up. Never give up, because
that's a good one.
If we quit when someone made fun of us or someone told us no or someone was like, what, like we'd be done back in June. But I think like knowing your vision, going with it, and just hard work, a lot of hard work. And then probably for like a new stylist fresh out of beauty school is just find a salon that you feel good at, and you can ask questions and find a mentor that you look up to, and that you can grow. And I think too, with a lot of times younger stylists, back to what like Jimmy said, is they think they have to be doing all these new trends and this and that. Really the bread and butter of yes, I do a lot of fashion colors and fun stuff, but bread and butter is great coverage and basic little bob cuts every 4 weeks. I mean, that's the bread and butter right there. So doing that and being like, having variety in your clientele is great, because you get bored doing the same thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
And just it's a little snarky here.
Let's hear it.
First of all, don't tell me you're a balayage specialist out of beauty school. You're not. That means that you don't know how to do highlights. That's it.
Right.
You don't know how to foil to the roots. And if a teacher is not teaching you that, that's on them. That's
right.
They're not doing their job.
Right. It's so funny you said that. I just barely like a week ago changed on my Instagram, like on little bio. It now barely just says straight razor specialist, because now I feel comfortable enough to do that. But that being said, I've been doing hair for 7 years, 8 years, 7, something like that. But so what I'm saying is it's taking me this long to say I am a razor cutting specialist. And I don't really know what makes you a specialist. I mean, there's no certificate, there's no this, but majority of the time, like I have people coming in like, hey, I heard you do this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I'm getting known for that now. So
Which is it the do you have the straight razor that starts with a P? Because I want to get that one.
The like the pony ones?
I think so.
I have one of those, but the original one that I have is by Rojo, actually.
Oh, okay.
But Pony did just they had like these plastic handle ones, but they just released like a heavier duty, like kind of like the Rojo razors. Actually, I need to get my hands on one of those.
Yeah, can you send me a picture of that? Because I am thinking about getting into more straight razor.
I completely recommend it, because the thing is that you, as a stylist, you get a different effect from a feathered razor to a straight razor. So you can't get some of the effects you get with the straight razor that you can with the feathered razor. And that's that would be, I guess, one more little like bonus for students is don't get comfortable in general, but don't get comfortable with that feathered razor, because once you get comfortable with it and you try and go into the straight razor, you're going to ruin yourself. But also too, keep in mind, like when you're first learning, like you wrap every single one of your fingers in a band-aid. Like you're gonna
I nicked my thumb I had it for my apprenticeship, and then all of a sudden I heard this, like, felt this big sting, and I was just like, oh God.
No, I have had it like literally like I'll open it and the screw on it,
Oh
it was
God.
too loose, and I went to go take
Oh.
another section and it flipped and it just right in my and I went to the ER. That was fun.
Oh my God.
Sorry, my adventure cat keeps like bothering me.
It's okay.
I've got a cat since the last time we talked. She goes on hikes and like camping and stuff like that.
Oh.
So, yeah. She actually rides on my shoulder when we
that's
when we go
awesome.
hiking. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this interview. It's so good talking to you guys again. Really love your energy. I'm excited to see your space.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see the people that you have in there. You know, I'm really excited to see the stylists that you're going to have in there.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited. Very, very, like, nervous but excited.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, this is Jimmy Hillman and Carrie Blasco, owners of Concrete Treehouse. And where can people find you guys?
Instagram, Concrete Treehouse Salon. And then my Instagram is just Carrie Blasco Hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jimmy.
Yep, you can find me as jhillman_hair. And then you can see some of my work also with the Lux Artistries Groupon for weddings. So that's why I work with weddings and everything. But all the links are in like bios and stuff like that.
Great.
So,
All right. Well, thank you guys. And you guys hang on too before I.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you guys, that was my interview with Jimmy Hillman and Carrie Blasco, kick-ass stylists and owners of Concrete Treehouse Salon. You guys, if you're a stylist listening to this right now and you're looking for a new hair home, I would totally reach out to those two. I mean, just listening back to our conversation, they're both incredibly genuine people and very kind. And they believe in community and building each other up. And I'm really looking forward to visiting them at their salon. If you guys would like to know more about Concrete Treehouse Salon, please give them a follow at IG at concrete_treehouse_salon. You can also reach out to Jimmy and Carrie. Jimmy is at jhillman_hair and Carrie at Carrie Blasco Hair. You can also find more information on my own website at www.hairapy.salon. Well, that's it for now. So be safe, be healthy, and above all, be hopeful. This is your Hairapy Session with Emily. I'm your host, Emily Mazur, aka Portland Hairstylist. Show written by Emily Mazur. Sponsored by Zibahub. Zibahub, a career app where you can find jobs, explore events, and build community. And editing by 127 Media House.